This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we have many services Microsoft is offering, and so we are going to create one of the service, Databricks service, and we have storage accounts, we have data factory, we have SQL databases, SQL management. So there are many services Microsoft is offering right now, and I'm going to create a Databricks service, guys. Okay, so let's try to create a Databricks service, and we just want to walk through that Databricks service and what exactly Databricks means, and what is the difference between data factory and the Databricks. So we can see some differences, and before going to know more about Databricks, I'll start creating a service, Azure Databricks service. Then we can go for Apache Spark, and what is the Python, and why we need to use Python Spark, right? So there would be many things. Okay, going forward we can learn one by one, and today's session I'm going to teach you how you need to create the service, Databricks service. So let's search for Databricks. Okay, so Azure Databricks, here I already created for the previous batches. I want to create a new Databricks service, so click on that. Let me click on Databricks. So if you want to remove, just click on this, and you can remove also. I can just click on this delete option, click on delete. Here you can also delete, click on OK. So deleting Databricks workspace. So since already created for the previous batches, so if you want, you can also delete this Databricks service, guys. So Microsoft will charge more on this service, guys. Okay, so we have different services offering, but Databricks service bit cost efficient, because we'll have a lot of configurations with respect to Databricks, and there is backend. So based on volume of data, you need to specify that, and the number of nodes you are using for processing your data. So no need to worry all these things. So everything we can discuss about Spark, and we can discuss about what is Databricks Spark, and we can also what exactly the differences between Apache Spark and Databricks Spark. And we also need to discuss about how many APIs it supports. We can also discuss that. And now Azure Databricks service, right? So let's try to create the service. Go to home, and go to Databricks service, Azure Databricks, and this is a search option, guys. This is a portal where you need to create your services, right? So here I can create a service, or else I can also go to here left side. You can see three lines. Go to home, or click on all the services, and I can also search here Databricks. See here, you can also find here Azure Databricks service, and you can create accordingly for your requirement. So now my requirement is I want to create this one of the service. Okay, Azure Data Factory, Azure Databricks service. Since Microsoft Azure, they're offering 200 plus services, guys. Okay, and based on our requirement, we can be able to create the services. As a data engineer, as a Azure data engineer, you should create these services. Okay, so let's discuss about this service, Azure Databricks service, and how exactly you need to create this service. And we can also do a lot of R&D on this Databricks service, and how exactly you need to do the transformations. So what is the use of Databricks, guys? Okay, so you can get the data from the variety of sources, and you can transform the data. Okay, so you can transform the data, and you can load the data into target data lake. Okay, so let's discuss more on this Databricks service. Let's try to create first Azure Databricks service, and I'll create this Databricks service. Then I can start explaining about the architecture, Spark architecture, because it will run on top of Spark based architecture only, guys. Okay, so you can write in any language. Okay, so we can discuss going forward clearly. Now let's try to create a Databricks service. So for you to create, guys, okay, for you to create, you need to click on create Azure Databricks. So we have an option under Azure Databricks service, create. I'm trying to create this service. Okay, so just click on create, and here I have a subscription. Okay, I need to pass the resource group details. So what will happen for every service in a cloud service provider, not only in Azure, even in AWS, Google Cloud. So we will keep all the services under the subscription or under the resource groups. Okay, so I can see here, so as we discussed, I have already gave the example, like if you want to purchase anything from Amazon or Flipkart, if you, for example, if you buy a phone, guys, okay, they will keep it in a container and they will send it to you, right? So like that, if you want to create any service, you want to keep inside the subscription or resource group. Okay, so now I have this subscription, this is my subscription, and I want to use the existing resource group, whatever we created, and I want to use this test resource group which I have created some time back, and this is our resource group. And you have to specify here a Databricks workspace name. So okay, so this is your Databricks, for example, Azure. I want to specify here Azure Databricks 003 for example. Okay, this is my Databricks workspace name, and so I have to be specify region for all the services I want to keep inside the East US, the default region. I'll use this East US. And so here pricing tier, we have different options, guys. Okay, so since you are in a free trial, right, so you can use this option. I'll show you guys, okay, whoever is how you need to create that free trial and everything, no need to worry. So this is a trial period. Okay, this is a trial period, premium 14 days free reviews. Okay, so I want to use this trial period now, 14 days free reviews, data bricks units. Okay, so you can use this option if you are in a free trial. Now I want to use standard. Okay, so I have my account. Okay, I don't have any free trial. So for your case, since you are in a free trial, so you can use this trial period, premium 14 days free reviews. You can try to practice this. Okay, so click on next networking, and so all these options, we no need to change anything. The default options what we have will keep it same. So if your Azure Databricks workspace with a secure cluster connectivity, no. Okay, but these two options we can generally, when you are trying to do any POC with respect to Databricks, we can use this. S options we can use in a real time, guys, obviously. Deploy Azure Databricks workspace in your own virtual network. You can do that. You can enable that, and you can be work accordingly in real time. So this setup, these resources, everything would created by somebody on behalf of you. You no need to worry about creating the services in a portal. Okay, so that you can understand later point of time. I'll give complete overview on this. So enable infrastructure encryption. So all these options are default, no need to change infrastructure encryption. And this is for name, tag, and values. Okay, we need to pass this a name and value. For Microsoft, you can pass the same set of name and value for all the services, so that Microsoft will charge based on the tags you have specified for each and every resource. Okay, so click on next, review plus create, and it's going to be validating now. And whatever the options you have selected while creating a Databricks service, and you can see all the list of options, and validation is succeed, guys. Okay, and you can try to create the Databricks service. So it will take a while, guys, to create this service, and deployment is in progress. So generally Databricks workspace will take some time to create, guys. Okay, so once we it's created, we start creating a cluster. There are many things we need to create. So main thing, you have to create a cluster, then you can start creating notebooks and you can start doing practice on it. Okay. So now I have created the service, right? This is a Databricks service, and go to the resource. I can see right side deployment is success. Just click on go to resource. Okay. I can see in this page, so this is a Databricks workspace, and these are all essential details related to Databricks. Okay, so what is the status of Databricks? What is the resource group? What is the location? What is the subscription? So all these details you have passed while creating a Databricks, right? So this is a managed resource group. It will create automatically for you, and so this is for URL where you are trying to connect to Databricks using this URL, and the pricing tier is standard I have used, and this is a overview tab, and you can see under this you have launch workspace, right? So I can be able to launch workspace by clicking on this option, Databricks launch workspace. Okay, so I can see here activity log, whatever you're trying to do inside this Databricks workspace okay, so everything should log here. You can see the log data, if somebody deleted any cluster, if somebody added any nodes, right? So everything, whatever the status, whatever that you are going to modify, you're going to create something, everything should display here, guys. Okay, so by clicking on time span, I can see last 1 hour log data, last 6 hours, last 24 hours, last week, last 2 weeks, last month. By clicking on custom, you can see last 45 days log file that you have to be specified while creating the service. Okay, so you can specify now after you already created Databricks workspace, and you can specify now the log data you want to see, and you can download it. Okay, so now I just created, right? So I don't want any log data is placed from past 45 days, but in real time, if you want to see the log data related to this Databricks workspace and whatever the modifications you have done with respect to Databricks, everything should log here. And you can see only last 45 days, not more than that. Remember this point, guys. Okay, and access control. So you should have at least a contributor access if you want to make any changes with respect to this Databricks service. Okay, so you should have contributor access. Now I can see I have the complete access. By clicking on view my access here, I can see I have service administrator, I have owner access, because since it is my subscription. Even for your case, if you can create a free trial, you can even create your own service. Okay, and you can see that service administrator access only. Okay, so remember this point, guys. Okay, so you can also check the access, and you can find that user group, service principal, manager identity. You no need to worry about all these things. Okay, so tags generally we will use for billing purpose, and we can have properties, logs, task preview, export template. So we have many things. Okay, no need to worry all these things. I'll come to this. I just want to give a glimpse on this. I just want to go for paint. So what exactly we are going to do with respect to Databricks service? So we have a source. Okay, so we have a source, for example, Azure Data Lake. Okay, Azure Data Lake Gen 2. And I want to load the data into again Gen 2. Okay, or else you want to load data into SQL database. Okay, so I have some files here. I have some file 1, I have some file 2. Okay, so I want to move this file 1 and file 2 to SQL database using Azure Databricks service. Okay. So my intention here, I want to move file 1, file 2 to target SQL database, and I want to create a table using a Databricks service, for example. Okay. So I want to create here. So this is a Databricks. Okay. So you can keep this in a Databricks. Okay. So Databricks is also an ETL tool, guys. Okay. So like Azure Data Factory, Databricks is also an ETL tool where you are trying to extract all the data from data lake and load the data into SQL database. Remember this point. Okay. So this is Databricks service where you are trying to extract all the data from the data lake, and I want to load data into SQL database. Okay. So how exactly you need to connect to the data lake, and how exactly you need to move data to the SQL database, that we can discuss. Okay, no need to worry about now. So just need to get all the data from data lake, and what are all the prerequisites to connect to the data lake, and getting all the file from the respective source and moving to SQL database. This is the task. Okay, this is the task we are going to do, and we just created this Databricks service, right? We just created this Databricks service, and we just walk through that Databricks options what we have, and we have some virtual network peerings, so no need to worry about all these things. Okay, so all our essential details related to Databricks workspace. Now what I want to do, I want to go inside this Databricks. This is where you need to work, guys. Okay, just click on launch workspace, click on launch workspace. So if you can specify here your current, what is your current data project? So is it training ML models? Is it creating SQL dashboards and reports, and building data pipelines and exploring data? And I don't know at inspire me. So you can see here, you can also click on this. I don't know at inspire me. Click on finish. So you can be able to create in real time. It might be the different scenario, guys. You have to be select if you want to create your pipelines, if you want to do any transformations with respect to Databricks, you have to specify that. Okay, if you don't want to specify, leave it. Okay, no need to worry about all these things. And now I want to create a cluster. Okay, so you have to be understand, this is a home page for Databricks workspace, and there are different tabs in the left side, guys. Okay, so this is a portal, and I have created the one of the service in a portal, because many services, as we discussed at initial stage, so Microsoft is offering many services, right? Databricks is one of the service, and you have to be understand each and every service. And this is mainly for data science and machine learning people. This particular tab, but you no need to worry about this tab, because as a data engineer, your roles and responsibilities to get the data are to collect the data from the variety of source systems, and you need to move data to the cloud, right? So you can do transformations once you load the data into cloud databases or any storage accounts, and using this service Databricks. Okay, so I'll come to that another part. Okay, so no need to worry. So since I'm going to teach on this Databricks workspace, and this is a workspace where you need to create your notebooks, and this is a repositories, and where you need to integrate your code to the DevOps or any GitHub. I'll come to that, guys. Okay, so I just want to show you some options we have. So these are all some recent files, recent whatever you are going to do with the Databricks. You can see some recent files. So these are all search. If you want to search anything, you can also search, since we have not done anything. So search option, if you want to search anything, you can be able to search it. So data, so for sometimes what will happen with respect to Databricks, guys, so you might create a database. You should be able to represent the data in the form of structured. Okay, so you should also create, there is a delta lake concept in a Databricks where you need to create. Okay, where you need to create a delta lake and you need to create some tables, databases and all, and by using this particular option. Okay, so we have a compute option in the sense where you need to create a cluster. Okay, because for example, if you can take an example of your laptop guys. Okay, so if you want to try to perform even small word, okay, word document, if you want to create, there should be some background, something is running background, right? So your storage, your number of cores you are using. Okay, so everything should run back in your memory and everything, right? So even here also, since we are trying to load a huge volume of data, when you try to process, when you try to do the transformations and a huge volume of data, you need to use this Azure Data Factory service guys. Okay, so the main intention to move to Azure Databricks, since you have a huge volume of data and you can do the transformations effectively in Azure Databricks service, and you can be able to, once you have done the transformations, you can load the data into any cloud SQL databases or any other storage accounts. Okay. So we can see how exactly you need to create this cluster by clicking on create cluster option. So you can see guys here, I have create cluster option. I'll create a cluster here. So these are all Suresh cluster. Okay, and standard cluster mode is standard, and performance is this Databricks runtime version. So this Databricks runtime version and selects the image that will be able to create a cluster. So this is you have to be specify here a configuration. You want to use 10.4 version, 9.1. So based on your requirement, current requirement, you can be able to choose this Databricks runtime version. So everything version and everything is provided by customer. Okay, no need to worry about all these things. You're not worry about creating these services guys. You're not worry about creating a clusters. Okay, so on behalf of you, somebody will create, maybe admins, architects. They know complete picture on this, and they will create this service. They will create the clusters. They'll create the number of nodes based on the volume of data. You no need to worry about all these things. Okay, so now I have this Databricks runtime version, and I also have some worker type. Okay, so we have standard ds3 underscore version 2, and we have minimum configuration. But real time you should use volume. I mean, the configuration is very high with respect to worker type and driver type. Instead of using 14 GB, you might use more memory, more number of cores. Okay, so minimum and maximum worker nodes in real time also will use the same set of configurations. So if you're not believe, if you're not using minimum and maximum worker nodes, you can also reduce this. For example, i want to I want to use a minimum one, maximum two. That's it. Okay, you can still create that instead of using minimum and maximum worker nodes. So actual task is performed in a different missions guys. Okay, so in your mission, in your laptop, you have only single mission to process your word, for Word document you want to create, right? But real time, since we have a huge volume of data, the data would distributed across the cluster. Okay, because there are many nodes. Okay, the data would be distributed, the job would be distributed to across the cluster on different nodes. And once the processing is done in each and every node level, then it should be once the processing is done, the result will goes back to the another node. Okay, so we have different nodes. Actually, we have driver, we have worker nodes. Okay, so I'll come to that architecture. Okay, you have to understand that architecture, how it is going to be work in a real time. So I'll also show you guys, okay, how I have implemented these Databricks notebooks and everything. We can also discuss that. And driver type same as a worker. Okay, so I want to use driver also same as a worker configuration. So you need to specify guys. Okay, for example, I don't want a minimum one, I want to use maximum, I want to use, it might be two. That's it. Okay, so maximum worker nodes 2 I want to use. Okay, so we have one worker and driver. We'll discuss clearly what is worker node, what is driver node. So you have to be understand the architecture. Okay, so right side I can see here 1 to 2 workers summary. Okay, one driver, 14 GB memory and 4 cores. Runtime is this. Okay, so next it would be an enable auto scaling, terminate after minutes of inactivity. For example, guys, here I have used minimum and maximum worker nodes, right? If you are not agree with that, I don't want, since I have very less volume of data, I don't want minimum and maximum two, right? You can still disable that auto scaling. You can still disable that. I can use only one worker node, that's it. Okay, the same worker node we have installed both, it's going to be installed both the driver and worker. Okay, so we have only one node right now. Okay, if you can disable this auto scaling, you cannot see minimum and maximum worker nodes, guys. Okay, so based on the volume of data, based on the processing, it will automatically take that minimum and maximum worker node with respect to auto scaling. But now I want to use here, now I want to use here so I can see here enable auto scaling. I am using here only one node. Terminate after 120 minutes. If you're not using this cluster for 120 minutes, right, it will automatically go to the inactive state, guys. Okay, you can save a lot of money here. Okay, so I can see here 120 minutes, right? Instead you can be able to keep you can just keep here terminate after 20 minutes. Okay, so I mean, if you're not using cluster, right, maybe you're running your task, it might be 2 p.m. UTC time zone, 2 p.m. ISTR, for example. Okay, so you can just specify that. Okay, no need to worry about if you're not using that cluster, and you can automatically terminate after 20 minutes. Okay, so you can save a lot of money here. Okay, so with respect to the, anyhow, you are working on a free trial, free DBUs and everything is offered by Databricks, Azure Databricks, and now you can start creating a cluster. Okay, so I can see, guys, here I don't have any advanced options. We can be able to specify, it will automatically have that advanced options, like if you want to pass any libraries, right? So if you want to specify any configurations, Spark configurations, so here we can be able to use. Okay, so I'll come to this section, guys, how in environmental variables you don't need to worry about, because why we have all these things, these are all some default Spark environmental variables, and Scala itself is running on JVM. You don't need to worry about, internally Scala is running on JVM, and we need to set that Java environmental variables as well. So no need to worry about all these things, guys. These are all some default settings. Okay, and create a cluster. Now cluster is going to be create. Okay, let's wait for a few minutes. Now cluster is ready, guys. Okay, so you can start creating your whatever you want. You can start creating a notebooks, and we can create so we can start creating notebooks. Okay, so this is for example, you want to create a Python notebook, and you can just specify here test notebook. Okay, so we can start specify here. So go to workspace, go to share, and you can create a notebook here. Okay, shared, and you can start creating a test notebook. Okay, so this is how we need to create a notebook, and you can start working, guys. Okay, so this is where you need to work. Okay, for a data bricks. Okay, so let's discuss about all these things, guys, next session. Okay, so I'm today is very limited session, so tomorrow uh, and the weekend we don't have any class, guys. Okay, I just want to update everyone, so we can connect again on Monday. Okay, so thank you, guys. Thank you all for joining. We can connect again Monday. Okay, have a great day. Have a nice weekend.